Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you a little backstory.
Yeah,
So
of
it kind of
course.
sets up the life right now
Yes.
in a way. So I was born in India. So I was born in Jaipur. It's a small town in India. I grew up with like 23 people sharing the same space. Not all my parents' kids. So it's like grandparents and uncles
Okay.
and aunts, everybody together. And so I grew up in a space shared with so many people. So early on in my life, I was always chasing to get out of that space. You know how when you're in a challenging situation in life that I'm sure you've experienced, and you want to just get out of it. And that was my early motivation to get out. But one of the things that was subtly happening around me, which I'll only realize in time was so important in my life, was that while we were struggling financially, my grandfather was an elder to the community. So we would see people come into our house and spend days talking to him about something. Now we're kids, we're like, we don't know why these people are here. We already don't have space. And now there are like 10 people just sitting around him listening to something. And he's talking about something. And so subconsciously, I was getting, I think, trained or wired, or maybe it's through generation that was transferred to be intentional about other human beings in the world and be intentional and present to the idea that it doesn't matter where you are, what you do, how you do it, you can always help somebody else. Do you mind me asking you a
Oh,
question?
you can ask me
At all?
anything. We're good.
I don't
I don't want to take from you too. That's why I feel bad. I'm
It's
like
all
talking
good.
like
We're just
shut
having a
up, so-
conversation.
Yeah.
One of the times that you mentioned that when you moved here first, you joined this gym called Crunch. I
Yes.
think is that right?
Back in the day.
And
Yeah.
you were like 29 trainer.
38 trainers. I was the 39th trainer.
39
Yeah.
trainer,
Yeah.
and in 3 months you had more clients than anybody else.
Yeah.
What was so different about you?
So I think I had a funny advantage. I was a white boy from Alabama with a little bit of Southern accent back then, probably a little bit more than I have now. Now, Miami's probably, ruined my Southern accent to a certain degree. I was shredded, like ripped. I mean, beyond belief. Like
No,
I was,
you're not doing
yeah,
that
I'm,
at all, yeah.
just a little bit now. But I was, like I walked in a room and people were like, "What the heck?" It was like no fat whatsoever. And my trick was I would take my dogs down Lincoln Road shirtless, and the gay guys loved me. So I had 17 of my like 20 something clients. I had 17 gay clients, and they're great clients because they pay on time. They all have money. They love being in shape. And they love hanging out, believe it or not, with good looking straight guys. Like they actually will say that, and especially when you're like coaching them and leading them and treating them as just like anybody else. And I was really good. I love people in general. Yeah. And so I developed some great relationships through that time. And then, what happens too is when you get in that crowd, well, who hangs out with the gay guys? The most beautiful women in Miami. So then all of a sudden you're meeting the hottest chicks in Miami, and then they find out that you're their trainer, and then they want you to train. So then there's this domino effect. Then the hot chicks introduce you to the athletes and the celebrities. So it's just like, that's why I always say you never know. I love what you said earlier about intentionality. It's like nobody's too small to give attention to be intentional about the conversation. So I remember it was always, I don't care if you were 400 pounds, if you look broke or whatever, I still treated you the same way. And so I think people notice that too, is that I didn't like, some guy, I mean, I'll never forget this guy, he was like this big around, teeny little gay man, and flaming, like, hey, like that. Yeah. And he wanted to train with me. And I was like, and I'm from Alabama. I mean, that didn't happen often. So, and I treated him just like every other client, and he got awesome results, and it was a great experience, So I just think if I had to look back on it on why it was because I just treated, I didn't care who you were. I didn't care if you were a celebrity, if you're gay, straight, black, white, whatever. I just treated everybody the same and gave them results. And then also too, like, what I noticed is nobody was showing up at 5 a.m. and training until 10 p.m. Like most of the trainers had these like little segments. They would come in for 3 hours at a time, here, there, and that. I lived at the gym. Like I was there in the morning, and I didn't leave. So and then also too, back then I trained like an animal. So then also like making sure people saw me when I trained, and trained at the like busiest time so people would see it, and that helped. It was funny. It got to a point where people would get mad if I didn't train with them, It was like, so, but it was, I mean, that's
That's
really
great
how I
lessons
got
right
it
there.
started in Miami was just, I guess, just really just being friendly. Like if I really think about it,
Being
it's just
kind and
being
friendly.
nice and kind. Like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like I didn't know more than the other person or have, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't my smarts. Like it was just literally just being nice. Like if
I wanted
really
to ask
think
that
about it.
because a lot of people struggle to start, and
Yeah.
your start has great lessons in there. Kindness is so discounted most of the time, and that's why it's so rarely available.
Yep.
But sometimes that's the business strategy: is just care.
And what
There is-
and not to interrupt you, but like also too, is the ability to just open your mouth.
Yeah.
Like what I've noticed is like people have forgotten how to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like how to just, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah.
You know, I see you in here. Like that was another thing too, is just opening conversation, having dialogue, asking questions, getting people to talk about themselves, and then saying, when you find that moment where they say, you know, but I'm having struggle, you know, I'm struggling eating, you know, like I can't figure it out, you know, and then that's when then you go, you give them a solution, you give them an answer. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I think I can help you. And then, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
so-
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle. I'm sure in the training industry, it's same with the coaching industry, is that people think, you know, a lot of people do these things for money.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with money. Money is a great thing. We should all have it. But when you turn the lens and you take a lens like the one that you took, which is just, I will just be nice to people, right? I will be kind. I will care. I give a
serve.
damn.
Like you got to serve them.
Yeah, I got to give a damn. That was our strategy at EverCoach, which is now Mind Valley Coach, is people would often go, why? Because we got successful in the industry that when I entered the industry, people were like, you can't enter it, because its first reason was very racist, because first reason they said is because you're an Indian man, you're brown, and you have an accent, so nobody will accept you. I was like, that's racist. That's what it is.
When
And
was
this is really my introduction to the industry.
my God.
It was funny. And these were coaches, people who actually were supposed to help other people. I was like, that's just wrong at many levels.
wrong.
But I was like, all right, whatever. And the second reason was because they were like, you know, you're not going to get successful because, you know, everybody's already making so much money. So, and I was like, but that's not the point of coaching, right? It's like saying, I'm going to open the gym so I can make money. You're opening the gym because you want to help people get a really good life, like be fit, be healthy, take care of their bodies. And then you make money as a product of it, right? You go in, you say, I will be your trainer, not because I can make some money. Yes, I will, that be the byproduct. But the reason is because I know if I work with you, I'm going to help you so much that you'll be like, I want to always train with you. I miss when I don't train with you because I feel so good when I train with you, right? I'm making you fitter, healthier, or maybe just making you feel good in that really hard day. Like it could be just that. But that's important for us as human beings. But we forget that when we are building things. We think it's all about these tactics and strategies and gimmicks that everybody tries to tell us about. But it's not about that. This is a human business, like
And
you said.
listening. Like there was a lot of clients where I would show up at the gym, we would walk out of the gym and we'd go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like literally, we would go for a walk and they would just blah, 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 you know, and tell me everything, and I would just listen and just make sure they kept walking, you know. And then that was the session. And then, you know, so we call it, like with our systems, we basically call it serving over selling, because everybody's out there selling. Are you serving? And then if you can change that to, you know, when you think about what you're doing, like, yes, we're asking you to sell memberships and sell personal training and sell, obviously, yes. But if you can shift it to you're serving people and then go the extra mile. That was another thing that I always had. I was always available too. You know, it helped being single and, you know, being in Miami and not knowing a soul, but I was always available, you know, like, which is important, you know, like, oh, hey, I want to train. And it was, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, I got you. You know, I'll be there in a second. You know, like, you know, being
it's
available.
funny. Your value, and you said your serving was serving over selling. Is
Serving
one of the-
over selling, yeah,
overselling,
exactly.
right? And my primary values that are my driving factor for everything that I do in life is love and service. Love being the primary.
Yes.
That must always come from a place of love and always be loving as a human being. Just operate from a place of love and always be in service. So it's kind of like correlated that,
No,
that
for
our
sure.
values
I always
are
say
very
that
aligned. Yeah.
people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
like,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because especially in our industry,
Yeah.
like, you know, the personal training fitness industry, especially now. Like, I mean, everyone's a trainer. Everyone has all the answers. Everyone has a six pack on Instagram, like, you know, the filters or whatever. And so you're getting just dumped all this information, and now it's costing a fortune. Like, everything costs more, you know, when it comes to that field. So people are looking to see if you actually care about them. Like, do you really care? Or are you just trying to take my money? You know? So and people know, people are smart, you know, when it comes to that. Like, you know, they might not be smart in other areas, but when it comes to like knowing affection and feeling that feeling, pretty much people can get that at least. So
and I think people are smart generally also. It's just that their frame of reference often changes, and so it looks dumb from a point of view. But
I worry about people sometimes though.
You're a kind person.
Yes.
You're very kind.
Well, take us back. What was it like growing up with 23 other people in one home? And how did that experience like really, I mean, I know that today, you know, you've kind of said like you feel like you're meant to do what you're doing today because of that, but like give us an example of like what that really, like how that molded you.
Yeah, so it was interesting. When I was growing up in my house with 23 people sharing the same space, at that time, my mind was really bothered with how little we had. So I could never really appreciate the abundance I had actually in the house. I could only criticize and have problems with how little we had. So the amount of little, just to give you context of how little it was, I wore clothes that my brother used to wear. We went to the same school, so I would take his clothes when he was done with those clothes, right? So we didn't have a lot of money. So that's why I would get transfer of clothes. My bike was his bike. When he went to the next version of the bikes, I would ride that bike, right? So it was very, when the brother is done, you can have it, right? And so it was very lack of abundance at that time in context of money abundance. And I couldn't appreciate what all I had at that time. But as I went through life and I looked back, because when I had the money abundance, I recognized how much value I was being driven at that time. And so now I can appreciate it. In that moment, I didn't. But now I appreciate that living with 23 people taught me about conversation, negotiation, because I had 6 cousin brothers, and you know, 3 of them were older than me, 2 of them were older than me, 3 of them were younger than me. We were negotiating all the time, right? We were fighting all the time, of course,
right.
But we were also negotiating all the time because we all wanted to play with the same toy in the same place with the same, you know, everybody wanted to bowl first or bat first, and so it was always a negotiation. But I am really good at it, and I can talk about it even without any formal training about it, is because that was my life. I was negotiating with brothers all the time. I learned how to share space with other people without having to take space, right? Because again, you're sharing space with 23 people. You don't want to always be like the person. You want to give everybody space. So I'm very kind with people because of that. I'm very generous with my time. I'm very curious about other individuals. It's wired in me because of how I grew up. I became a really caring person because my family was very caring. When you live with 23 people, the only way you get to live without fighting is you care for the next guy. And have you ever seen that meme, the difference between hell and heaven, where basically everybody's hands are tied and you have beautiful feast in front of you? But in hell, what they're doing is they're taking the big spoon with the hands tied and trying to feed themselves. You can't do that. Right? But in heaven, the difference is they take the spoon and they feed the next guy. So everybody's in heaven, right? That's what you learn when you're with 23 people, is you learn how to be with other people and care for them before you care for yourself. I saw my mother with my 2 aunts cooking for the whole family, right? 3 ladies cooking for some 16 people, 17 people at a time. Insane. It was out of their love and kindness, right? I saw my father taking care of his brothers when they couldn't do certain things. Right? So I was like, wow, love and kindness, right? So all those lessons that were subtle, like my grandfather, like I was talking, he was the elder of the family, of the community, really. We would see people come in and he would start at 8 in the morning. He would go on till 10, 11 in the night, and next day, 8 o'clock in the morning again. And this guy had no money. He could have gone out and worked and made some money. No, he was like, no, you need help. I'm going to put my time to help and support you with whatever knowledge I have, whatever information I have, whatever questions I can ask, whatever clarity I can bring. I will end this fight for your family by giving the most valuable thing that I have right now, which is time.
Yeah.
Right. So I learned all of that because I grew up in that community. So there was abundance of love and kindness and just pure humanity in my family that I could only appreciate when I stepped away from it, because I realized how little it is actually in the world, how few people actually give that care, how few people actually just say, you know what, it doesn't matter if I get paid or not. I did something good, right?
You don't hear that much.
Yeah. You don't hear that much.
Yeah.
And I grew up in that, so it makes it easier for me to be able to do it today because it doesn't feel like I have to try.
Right.
At least that's what I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people say that about me. I don't know. I've never asked, but that's how I operate.
Yeah.
And that's how in a previous conversation I was having with somebody asked me, what is it that then your goals are? Because I said, money goals I don't really set. And so they asked, what are your goals? And I said, well, the only goal I have now is how many thank yous I get to collect in my lifetime. Is it ever that, and it happens, so I'm grateful that it happens for me right now in my life, but when I'm walking down the street or I'm just sitting at a restaurant, somebody walks up to me and just says, thank you. You don't have to tell me why. You don't have to say whatever it is. That makes my day. That tells me that I did something meaningful in my life, that I contributed with from a place of love and service, because that thank you is a genuine thank you. You don't have to use the words. It's just thank you. And that's it. I don't need no money. I don't need any recognition for it. I don't need any fame for it. Just a private thank you that I could contribute to your life in some way. And that's what I'm collecting now. That's all I'm interested in.
I love that. This morning, one of our members came up to me while I was working out. It was around 6 o'clock. And she said, I want to thank you for what you've created because it's literally changed my life. I'm not the same person I was a year ago before I joined this place, blah, blah, blah. And private, no one heard her, just me and her. And those moments are the moments I love the most. Just when people tell you the impact that you've had on them, in not publicly, like, not on Instagram, but like privately. And those are the most powerful moments for me to keep going, to keep trying to become better, to keep trying to make this go further and to reach more people and to open more gyms and you know what I mean? Like that's what gets you going. Not, of course, and again, like money's great, obviously.
Of course.
I think what money is for me is freedom. I think money provides freedom. It provides the ability to help your family and others, and whether it's organizations or your church or whatever. Like I love that about money, but it's those quiet conversations, those quiet pats on the back that they're rare, but when you get them, it's like okay.
It's so much more human though, right? They look right in your eye and they say that thank you, and they know that, and they mean it. They're not doing for any other reason, but actually meaning it to be so real. Yeah. And that's like a tank full suddenly. It's like I'm ready to go.
It just like gets you going, for sure.
Yeah. It
it
feels
happened
good,
this
right?
morning. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm sure there are a lot of unsaid thank yous that are around you all the time. They've just never had the courage to walk up to you.
Yeah, and you can feel, you can see people's, we always say we want people walking out better than they walk in, and you see it. You
can
see
the
people
effort.
walk
Like
in.
I was just at your gym. I was like, it's a full gym on a, Wednesday afternoon or something. And I was like, that means they are grateful.
But what I've noticed is you see people walk in with a certain demeanor, and almost every time they walk out with a smile, or at least they're lifted. Like you can just tell they like whatever just happened. Yeah. The effort, the sweat, the conversation, the music, whatever it was, the instructor, whatever it was, they walked out better than they walked in. And that when you start to pay attention to those things, that's what makes this worth it.
Yeah.
So you've talked about that you're passionate about growing extraordinary communities. Which is something that I'm a strong believer in, and I believe that we're doing that here in Miami. Can you talk a little bit about like your values in your life and how they influence like accomplishing that?
Yeah. So there was a few years ago, I think, where I started to question the purpose of why I was doing coach training and all of that, and why it mattered. And And one of the differences that I believe we had, and one of the reasons why I wanted to keep doing what I was doing, is because I only wanted to build a business that was in congruence with who I am as a person. I didn't want to build a business because, because I could and I can, but I wanted to build something that I felt like this is me expressed in the world outside. And so many, many years ago, me and my now wife, then girlfriend, sat together and found our core values in life. And the core values that we have is love and service. You always want to be from a place of love, and you always want to be in service of humanity and human beings around us. So those are our two core values. Now, my total expansion of those is health and freedom too, but generally it's love and service is where we operate from. So I presented that to my team. We were at this cross point where we were making money, but I was like, I don't want to do it for the money. I want to do it for something more that's important and close to me. And I said, guys, I don't want to talk about how much we make. I want to talk about did we love and did we serve? And if we love and serve, I'll be happy. And this might mean we may have a season in business. It may not be a beautiful season. It might be a little hard as a season. But I want to operate only from these two values. I want to ask ourselves questions of, is this an expression of love? Is this product an expression of love? Is this the greatest service I can provide to this customer when they send an email or when they don't send an email? The experience that they get to have, are they experiencing love and service on a day-to-day basis? And we added on top of it care. We said, give a damn, because nobody does, not in our world, right? So we said, we want to do love and service, and we want to care for every person that comes into our sphere. And that changed the dialogue first for my team, because my team started to ask, and even catch me sometimes, because, as entrepreneurs, we can fall for the trap. I need to make the P&L, I need to do this. And they started to catch me. I said, but this is not an act of love. You know that, right? I'll be like, you're right. We're not going to do it, because it's not an act of love, right? So it made some hard decisions for us early on. But what started to happen is as my team was on board, somehow that was getting communicated to our clients unconsciously. Not that we were actively saying we are showing love and we are showing service. We were not saying that. But somehow our clients started to speak that language of love and service. They were kinder. They were talking to us much more nicely. And everything started to change. And what we found is that when they would come together as a community, like if you come to our event, and I'd love to have you at one of our events at some point, we have like 700, 800, 900 people, but you meet anyone, it feels like they're your friend. They will meet you with the warmest hug, with the most loving eyes, with the kindest, like we share laughter, we let nobody stand alone. Somebody standing alone, we go, hey, come on, just join us. Like it's fine. Join in the circle, we'll talk. So there is no introvert and extrovert in our world. They're just human beings. Right? And everybody's just having a good time, community held, supported in the way they want to. If anybody is in trouble, I don't have to run to them because I know 3 other people, not even my team, has got them. And that happened because organically, as you practice your values in business, or as I practice values in my business, I recognize that people want to come for something together. Right? They want to stand for something. It's like your no days off in a way, right? Your community does not want a day off. That's why they go, I'm going there. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm going to Legacy Fit. Why? Because no days off, right? There's a commitment that comes with value. And that commitment is, I think, what creates community. So what we've now found is that anybody that comes in my circle, till the time we are expressing our values, which we try to do every day, every time we are communicating with anyone in any way possible, we find that our sphere of community has gotten bigger because more people want to align with values that really are aligned with just being human in a way. Because love and service is so intrinsic to all of us. Like no days off is so intrinsic to all of us. Right. Like we don't want to take days off. We take it because of whatever reason, but we don't really want to. We want to come out as our best selves every single day, right? So this is something that everybody's willing to fight for. And so the community gets stronger. So that's where I find that we've been able to build great communities. Our communities stay with us for a very long time. Our students do multiple programs with us. And that's because of our values. It's not because of a marketing system. It's nothing special. Like if you look at my marketing, it's actually very non-aggressive, very subtle. It's like, if you feel like you can buy it, if you don't, it's all good. Yeah. Good on you. That kind of marketing.
It's probably authentic though.
It's real. It's just who I am. Now, like if you want it,
the number one thing that they talk about now in marketing is that where we are today is people can their bullshit detector is like on high. So that if you're not authentic, then you're not going to get through to the customers out there. Let me ask you this. When you made that decision, did you have anyone close to you or on your team that was like not about it? Or did everybody kind of buy in? Like when you went from like, you know, like P&Ls and balance sheets and like, you know, we have to do this to then like, no, we're just going to operate in love. Was there anybody that's like, wait a minute, like I'm here to make money, you know? Did you have any of that? Like,
well,
did you ruffle anyone's feathers in your group or
maybe one or two who thought this was a phase?
Yeah.
So, you know, like any entrepreneur, you know, you wake up one day, you start saying these things and a person says, you've said this before. It's going to be gone. It's a season. It's a phase. You're just excited about it. I don't know if you're like that, but I'm definitely like that. Sometimes there's like a seasonal thing that I'm like, no, we're really going to do it. And then even I lose motivation for it because it wasn't a good strategy anyways. So there was a couple of people like that, but then they phased out themselves because I didn't give up on it. I just said, no, that's what we're doing. And it's okay with me if I don't make whatever, it doesn't matter. And honestly, I feel like if you live your values, you make way more anyways.
Yeah.
But you're happier with whatever you make as well. So it's kind of like, it's very counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense. It's not 1 + 1 is 2. Like it's not mathematical. It's intuitive. And we all know it. Kind of somewhere in the heart of hearts, we know if we do the right thing, we'll get the right result.
Right.
We know it. All of us know it. But because we can't put a finger on it, because science can't prove it yet, we say, oh, we shouldn't do it. It's stupid. You know, let me come back with a strong business strategy. But I feel the best business strategy for me, at least at this point in my life, is the human strategy. Care, give a damn, do great things or the best you can, and people will fall in love and they will go, all right, I'm for this person if they are the right people. Right. And the ones that are not right are anyways not right. So great that they didn't say yes. So that's where I am. So there were a few people who were definitely not fully in, and eventually they phased out themselves. But I knew that would happen. I hoped it didn't happen a lot, which it didn't, which I'm grateful for, because I was like, oh crap, if half my team leaves, that would be hard. But then I also was okay with, so that's the thing I think in decisions, you have to be okay with the dice can roll either way, right? So you have to be okay that it can collapse. And that you will figure it out because you've figured out many things in life. So I definitely have confidence that I can make anything work. So I know even if it all goes to shit, I can build it back up. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah.
It'll be hard days or hard weeks or hard months, but I'll figure it out. I've always figured it out. So I have faith in myself. So I did sign up. When I did sign up for it, I did sign up for that it is a possibility it collapses. And I was okay with it.
Yeah.